folks. I want to do something a little bit different today. I just want to chat a little bit about Scotty Moore. I know there's a lot of Scotty Moore fans on subscribe to my YouTube channel, on my Patreon, on my online platform, and all of these various things. He's one of my favorites, and you probably know that. You might not know I play in a Sun Records show and have basically made good money spending time working on Scotty Moore stuff for the show. So it's actually been an absolute blessing and really, really good fun. Speaking of which, we have a show on the 22nd of December. If you're watching this in the future, this is in 2024. It's probably not going to apply to many of you for long, but if you are in Melbourne, check it out. I'll put a link below. Now, what I wanted to talk about with Scotty Moore today was just a few bits and pieces I've picked up, over a long time, reading articles and catching little interviews with him and listening. And I just want to talk about some of my favorite things about Scotty Moore. One of those is gear. I don't know if any of you have, seen some of the articles in the guitar magazines back in the 90s or 80s when he was, still around. But he talked about, I remember seeing a box with his gear in it, and it had a digital delay and really not a lot of other things. There might have been a drive pedal, but I can't remember. The main thing I remember being a delay freak is the digital delay. And I love that because he just did, he just used the pedal that worked, coming out of a guy that was coming out of studios at some point that would have been using tape machines and stuff. He must have been thrilled when they started making these digital delay pedals that you could just carry like that. And he used those, and he used them right up until he passed away. Or until he stopped playing, I suppose. Now, the thing is that there's a real theme with Scotty Moore, and this is what sort of compelled me to make this video. In that example there, he's using whatever works, and he was more than happy with that. So then the other thing is, musically, what I really loved about Scotty Moore, I read quite a few articles about where he would mention that he really loved Chet Atkins, but when he got thrown into the studio with Elvis, he wasn't entirely up with the style. So it kind of always cracks me up when guys talk about not being particularly accurate with the right hand with their finger picking. It kind of makes me laugh. And Brian Setzer does it really well. He does the thumb thing, and he says, I don't like it to be too strict because I'm kind of more into the Scotty Moore way, which is really cool. He obviously dug that vibe that came out on the records. But something really interesting about Scotty Moore, if you listen to his later albums, he actually went away and he really perfected that style. And if you listen to there's an instrumental album that he put out at some point where he kind of went over a lot of his old content, and you can actually hear that he's really got the thumb stuff down. He's not sort of floating around like Mystery Train. He's got that consistent thumb going, which I think is really cool. He went away and he just kept working on it. Even though he'd made it big and he'd done everything he needed to, he still, pursued the love of the guitar. So, and another thing that's really cool is I remember reading that he didn't like he wished he had spent more time developing his lines, like single notes. So, and that's incredible to me because all the lines that he did use, you look at the Hound Dog solo, I can't remember it exactly. I can't remember it actually, I'm not going to do a good job. No, it was C. Then he comes up here. No, he goes major pentatonic into minor pentatonic, something like that. My memory's not great. I transcribe these solos and then pretty much forget them. But the thing is, he did really cool stuff. And I'm getting closer to my main point here. He did what he was thrown into the studio. He did, whatever he was comfortable with at the time. But it still blows me away that, as good as his playing was and the way he revolutionized the guitar, like taking that fingerpicking style into rock and roll at that time, it's mind-boggling that, he went, well, I really like Chet Atkins and I want to do something like that. And then he got thrown in the studio with Elvis and somehow made it work and made the style that we all know and love. So, and I think this is really getting to the crux of my point. So I was looking at the guitar solo for My Baby Left Me, and I've been playing it a long time, I guess, but in my own way. So I've buckled down a little for the third part of My Baby Left Me tutorial videos. I've done 3 now. I'm just about to work on the third. So I've done lesson 1, which you can get for free on YouTube. Lesson 2 and 3 are only available on my website or on the Patreon. So I'll put the links there if you are interested. But bear with me. The thing that I really liked going over the solo for My Baby Left Me is just the way Scotty Moore, and this is the theme that kind of goes throughout all the things I've just talked about, he did what worked. He always just did what worked. And he was, as much as he says he wished he had done this or done that, and he did go away and develop certain things in his playing, whatever he did at the time, he was clearly accepting of. And you're probably like, well, what's your point? To be accepting of where you're at as a player in the moment when you're playing will make you a better player. Okay, it's getting a little philosophical here, but I think it's really important. You know, when he did those sessions, he played with whatever skills he had, and he didn't question them. He didn't say, no, I'm going to abandon this because I'm just not quite there. He just did what worked. He used, you know, later on, he used the pedal that worked. He did the lines that worked. And the really cool example in My Baby Left Me is he just varied that solo slightly, you know, from the... He just comes up here. Then, he just did what works. Okay? He just did, like, he had a little variation, but he didn't completely try and reinvent the wheel. I mean, he probably had to, he might have learnt the hard way. Maybe he tried to do some wild things and ended up costing them too much in tape. But I don't think so. I don't think that was his style. I think that guy, Scotty Moore, like I said, he accepted where he was at, and he just did what was enough and what felt comfortable for him. He played within his comfort zone and did cool things. Didn't try and go too crazy. And his guitar solos at times, like if you look at the majority of that, it's just almost what he plays in the rhythm, but without Elvis. I don't want to say in the way. Elvis was never in the way, but without Elvis's voice on top. It was just a great opportunity to feature the cool things that he was doing. So maybe he knew he didn't need to do too much else. But the message that I'm really pushing is, you know, if you're playing in a band or you're going to a jam, whatever it is that you're doing, don't try to be something that you're not. Don't try to reach too far. Just be happy with where you're at as a player, and, you know, do things in your comfort zone without thinking like, oh, this is no good, or why can't I do something more complicated? If you do whatever it is that you do, be it as simple or complex, you know, I think with that assertion, with that confidence, with that comfort, you're going to sound 10 times better. And that's what Scotty Moore really taught me. That's the message that I really wanted to let you know that I've absorbed from looking at his stuff. So I hope you enjoyed the video. I'll finish by just playing a little more Scotty Moore stuff. Okay, enjoy the rest of your week.